these buttons to hit. Here we go.
Because we're a professional outlet here.
More professional today than we were yesterday.
I feel extra professional, and as soon as everybody can see us, they will understand why we feel this way.
They could see you. It's just a little delay on the feed. We don't have a delay with each other. Yeah, there's like a 5-second delay.
I have a new microphone and new headphones, and they are super loud. And when I didn't have this muted, and it was like an ad just like exploded in my head. But hi, look, it's Maxine and the Sound of Settling, and it's the Tara Show on April.
I got my copy.
But you got your copy of the Sound of Settling, and hey, everybody, look, Tara's got a microphone and headphones, and I can do some AMSR. I can
good
maybe
idea.
open up a bag of chips, start crunching on those for a little extra scratch. You know, guys, if you want to record some stuff, hey, it's the Sound of Settling. Look at that, we're twinning even more than we normally do.
We really are. We're like bookends, you know. It's
side by side. It's my pride and joy. The Sound of Settling. I mean, I do have 2 human children that I'm proud of, but of all the things that I've accomplished in recent times. Thank you. I wrote this book, and there's also a follow-up to it that my readers have been demanding, and I haven't put it out there yet because I want to get a proper book deal, and I want both of the books combined to be a streaming series. And I keep sending it to people. I keep sending it to people, and they keep saying how great it is and how much they love it, and then nothing happens. So I'm going to keep trying. They're like Cameron Crowe loves it, right? And I sent him. There's a blurb from Cameron Crowe in the back. And for those in the chat who don't know, first of all, thank you for being here. 33 watching now. Thanks to Jim for moderating, and also quick shout out to Margaret at Focusrite, who helped me get the sound of no set. We did not have to settle for any bad sound because I can hear myself in my headphones, and so she was great. Thank you, Margaret. But anyway, The Sound of Settling is a non-political rock and roll love story inspired by my meet cool with Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters back in 2001. We never did anything, and that's like we can expand on that at another time in another segment because we have lots to do. But he knew who I was before we ever met at a secret Foo Fighter show in 2001. Wow. Do you not know this backstory?
Well, I think so. I think I know it, but you could tell for people who don't know it.
I mean, you know what? If people go to my YouTube, which is just at Tara Dublin Rocks, I have a video telling the story. Not in the most perfect way, but it's a video telling that story. The story of how Dave Grohl used to call me his internet crush and found me on the Foo Fighters post board back in the day, and I don't know how or why. To this day, I still don't know why, and I haven't spoken to him since 2009. But during the and I also feel I am pretty positive that I'm the person who inspired him to write the song Times Like These. Have not been able to verify that. Have been waiting 23 years to find that out. So if anyone can hook me up with Dave Grohl, because I can't. People who call me a groupie and a stalker, no. I'm very bad at both of those things because I have never I've never had to touch anybody to get anywhere because I'm a lady. And then, but also, stalker is also not accurate because I don't know where the guy lives. And I haven't spoken since 2009, so I'm the world's worst stalker. I did see him. Foo Fighters were here in Portland in August, and they played at Providence Park, and a fan, thank you, bought me pit tickets. So my friend Christine and I went, and we got ourselves to the rail, incorporating the short girl rules of going to a concert. And the short girl concert rule dictates that if you're taller than I am, I get to stand in front of you. Yeah. And I think that's fair. You can see over my head. Everybody can. I'm 5 feet tall.
Oh, so I'm 6 feet tall. Wow.
No, you aren't.
You're am.
6 feet?
Yeah.
You are 6 feet? Really?
Yes.
And for true?
For real. The government measured me, too, when I was in the Army. So.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. Someday what a sight gag that would be.
I know.
If we can get ourselves in the same place at the same time. But in any case, they were here in August, and I got myself to the rail, and he saw me and pointed at me and was very happy to see me. And at the time, I could not have known. But at the time, he had a new baby with another person who's not his wife, and yet went out on the road and played shows. Did you not hear about that? Huge scandal in the Foo Fighters world and in music in general, because it's presumed that Dave Grohl is the nicest man in rock and roll, and he has always been nice to me personally.
Still a man.
But also, still a man, still a rock star. Still a rock star. Still a dog. And I am very, very glad that we never exchanged bodily fluids, because you know what? There are so many women who can say that they went there. And I'm glad that it's, for me, it's like, he had a crush on me. I was married at the time. We have never been single at the same time. So we've never done anything. And it's one of those where it's like, you wanted me, but you could not have me.
Right.
I'm
that
hot
gives you
shit.
more cred.
And it's that, and I think it makes for just a better story. It makes it more interesting.
Right.
Sometimes it's better to know that you could have instead of actually have done it, because it would not have meant to him what it would have meant to me at the time. And in retrospect, you know, I would just be a notch on the Grohl belt, and I'm better than that, right?
Yes.
But what it did do was, you know, it created questions that I have not answered in real life. Like, how'd you find me? Why me? And then, did I inspire times like these? Because I'm pretty much 100% positive that I did.
Out.
Well, and that's a whole other story that will take up a segment of time, and I'm not sure that people want to hear that.
Yeah, not right now. Another day. When we
Not
do
right now,
our members only chat or something like that.
Yeah, that might be exciting. But in any case, our meet cool, when he knew my name before we ever met, and this was before social media was a thing and you could chat with celebrities. There was this secret Foo Fighter show at the Troubadour in LA for just people in the post board, and I won a spot there, and I was in the front, and he called me out by name. He used my name also. And so during the lockdowns, because forever people were like, well, what if you could have? What if you could have? What if he could have gone out with him when he asked you out after the show? And I'm like, well, so I wrote a book about that. And yes, Tara got a new camera. Cameron, hi, pro cam. There's a lot of cam in that sentence. But anyway, that's what this book is. Please buy my book. It's my birthday month. And what I would like, besides world peace, is to sell more books this month than I have sold in any other month since I self-published it. So there, TaraDublinRocks.com. If you don't want, it's also available as an audiobook there on Amazon. If you don't want to pay money to Amazon, which I totally understand, you can order it at the indie bookstore in your city or from Powells.com. Anyway, yes, we're here side by side beautifully on microphones where you can hear me and see us both. Shit is going down. So the biggest story, of course, are the Trump tariffs, which continue to dominate the news cycle, and rightfully so, because everybody's mad. Yeah. Everybody's mad at Trump for this. And just, excuse me, just before we went on the air.
I'm sorry with the baboon, but.
I mean, baboons at least maybe perform important functions in their own societies.
True.
So, and I don't know if you've seen it, but there's that picture that's, I tweeted it, the picture of him from Sunday with his hands like up to his nips.
Oh God. He
just looks like Trumpty Dumpty. He's just
such a loser. But I mean, can I just point something out that what is really irritating me in general, besides everything else, is that now you see how this is why billionaires are anathema to freedom and democracy, and I've written about that on the Substack. But because now they're upset, right? It doesn't matter how many people get fired, get thrown under the bus, get their lifelines cut, attacked, vilified, minority groups, people, wanting to unalive themselves because of this effing evil goddamn cult. And now, because they lost a couple of million, now they want, they're reassessing what about democracy itself? What about the fact that his longest-serving chief of staff said he has a fundamental disdain for American values, that he's fascist to the core? All of his inner circle in the first maladministration saying how he's unfit. He's a man baby. He's a child. He doesn't know anything about the world or history or reality. I mean, welcome
to where we are. Right. Thanks for catching up.
Greed.
Took you long enough.
Disgusting greed. It's the immorality of this moment that has to be addressed. that the immorality of these greed-centered ghouls. And another reason why they should not exist. Billionaires should not exist.
Absolutely, but we are fortunately seeing some pushback, as you and I were chatting right before we went on the air. The Koch people, not Cokeee, but Koch, the Koch people, and Leonard Leo are big mad about the Trump tariffs. And those are two of his biggest donors and his biggest financial backers. It's like them together are Soros plus Elon. Everything that they accuse us of, right, is actually true of them. But if you have lost the Koch brothers and their company, and if you've lost the other guy, like if you've lost these two humongous financial backers, and I think that they're probably extra mad about what's happening with the Supreme Court. You bought them. Hey, you break it, you bought it, you broke it. So, but that's encouraging, because when your biggest and Elon is mad about the tariffs. Yeah. Elon is speaking out against Peter Navarro, which is like two dipshits flinging poo at each other, because who's stupider? I don't know. Yeah. But at least to his credit, Elon understands how tariffs are bad. And it's really impacting the Tesla business in China, which is something that Hal Sparks and I talked about on his show yesterday. And none of this is good for anybody except Vladimir Putin. Yeah. And it's time that everybody is understanding this. And what's interesting is watching actual Republican pushback. And more Republicans are starting to stand up a little bit more, I think, and start pushing back. Like, I don't know. Chuck Grassley. Yeah, just Chuck a few of them. Pushing just back. A few. Representative Don Bacon in the House pushing back. So it only takes a couple of cracks to create, for the dam to burst eventually. Yes,
but you do know. Sorry. All right. We had the delay. But do you know the Peter Navarro? I don't know if you saw it. Rachel Maddow did a whole thing about this, but this needs to get more attention. That the only reason that Peter Navarro was hired by this goddamn con man. I was going to say baboon. It just wants to come out of my mouth, but it's just a fun word too. Baboon. Anyway, the reason baboon. The reason he was hired is because he wrote a book called Death by China, and Jared Kushner liked the title, so he called him. It was like, wow, cool title, dude. And in this book, he cited, according to this expert, his name was in the book is Ron Vara, Ronvara.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this.
Yes, he presented this person as a Harvard-educated economist and investor, and who's done all of these amazing studies and research about tariffs, how they are the best thing that could ever happen. And the end of the story, or the underlying, the truth is, Ron Vara is somebody that he made up. Peter Navarro made up. It is
it's an anagram.
Yes, an anagram.
It's
an
anagram of his last name.
Yes, and it's a complete fiction, and that's why we are in this boat, because Jared Kushner liked the title, and Peter Navarro is a filthy fascist liar, and the corporate media, who is not reporting this. Every time they talk about it, every time they bring him up, why are they not leading with that? It's it's baffling.
You need to front load your viewers with the information during that's why I like when I tweet or anywhere I post, I try to put as many adjectives before a person's name so that I can get all of it out. Like when I tweet about Trump, it's like adjudicated rapist, convicted felon, friend of Epstein, Donald Trump.
Yes, that's how you got to do it.
For Peter Navarro, it's, traitorous Russian asset who was let out of prison far too soon. Peter Navarro,
right?
And Right. And how many times did Ari Melber have him on MSNBC?
I know.
And people were like, and and all of those, first of all, I don't know how performative that all was, because Ari would always be like, that's it, I'm never having you on my show again. And Peter Navarro would be like, that's it, I'm suing you. And Ari was like, go for it. And then he'd be back. So, stop it. And again, it's not really even about the pushback, because you're just giving a traitor to the United States a platform. Yeah. And again, you can push back all you want, but the point is that guy got his bullshit out on MSNBC and for free. True. You gave it to him, and you gave it to him repeatedly. And now you're like,
invited him back numerous times.
Again and again.
Yes.
And your viewers are outraged that you're bringing him on. So what do? You make them more outraged? Right. I don't understand that formula. That formula works for Fox.
He wants the viral videos. That's really what it's about. So
and his weak. I cannot stand it when Ari Melber quotes rappers.
Oh, I know. He's like, this is just like when Jay-Z says, when you're in the hood and you got a good, and
I know. It's just, and he'll say it to people who don't know what Biggie said.
I know.
I don't know what Tupac said. What are you doing? You don't. I mean, you're just. Can you just be who you are without trying to chase down cred outside of your community? It's just like, you can support the Black community, you can support the rap and hip hop community. You will not be of them, though. Ari, be more thirsty. It's just. It's so embarrassing. True. It's so cringy.
It is
so
cringy.
And again, I'm not fully up on all of my rap beefs or the East Coast, West Coast thing. But there are times where I've tweeted Ari, and it's like, and as Biggie would say, go fuck yourself. It's just like, it's weakness. It is weakness. Like, if you're going to quote somebody, at least have a reason, right? Like, I don't have a reason to quote Biggie. Maybe I have a reason to quote Taylor. I have a reason to quote Taylor Swift, because I'm a Swiftie over 50. I'll quote her instead.
When it's appropriate. You don't just throw it in there like it's strained. It's very forced. Yeah.
Right. The point being, watching the media Monday morning quarterback themselves is entertaining, if nothing else, because they're so obtuse about it. Chuck Todd, who no longer works for NBC or MSNBC, was like whining about something the other day, and I responded with, well, maybe if you would cover Joe Biden's historic economy act.
That's right.
Maybe if you had covered Kamala Harris, who's an economics major. Maybe if you had covered the letter from the 23 Nobel Prize winning economist saying that her plan was vastly superior because Donald Trump is going to crash the global markets with his tariffs. Maybe, I don't know, if more people talking about that instead of letting the rage cycle dictate how you get your ratings. Because I don't know, being calm just isn't exciting and sexy.
Right. Or the 100 historians that rated Trump the worst president in American history. So how about that?
Or the psychologist who called him a sociopath.
And malignant narcissist. And that's what we're watching play out right now.
Of course. Or Hillary Clinton calling him Putin's puppet back in 2016. Which he was right about everything. And it's just another one of those things where it's like, how many times do we have to be proven right before anybody decides that they are going to listen to us? And it's frustrating. And even Kamala was out there being like, well, I don't want to say I told you so. But she fucking did. They all did. We all did.
She should. I wrote an article about that. How she should be out there.
For the Political Voices Network Substack, which everybody
she's got to say it. She needs to say. But I got a little annoyed because I saw that Walls was like, "Well, I don't want to tell anybody I'm here. I told you so." Why? God. Why not? Why not? Because we gotta. Sometimes
there's
people
no reason to not.
Yeah, they need to be shaken awake. How dare they? How dare? That's why there needs to be a reckoning about the immorality. That's kind of
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I think it's coming because MAGA is finally seeing what these tariffs actually mean. And they're starting to see it where it matters, which is when they go grocery shopping or when and it's not just the food, because when you were talking, I mean, if you've already lost your SNAP benefits, that's hard enough. But when you go to the grocery store, you're making decisions about what are we eating this week? What am I eating tonight? What am I having for breakfast tomorrow? Everybody shops for their families in their own way. They know what they need. So now it's going to be a choice of, well, do we really need this box of cereal? Do we really need to eat this frozen dinner? Do our kids need milk? Do we need that? Do we need eggs? What do we need? What protein?
Where can we cut back?
Minimum? Right. Where are we cutting back? And then it is also going to be on the goods that we need on the regular that you don't think about, like toilet paper and soap and cleaning products and plastic things. And you need, if you wanted to upgrade your iPhone, it's going to cost you $5,000.
Right. And here comes the recession. Right? Yeah, that's what that is, because people are going to lose their jobs and people are going to stop buying things. They're going to cut back, and then more people are going to lose their jobs. This is the cycle.
Right.
So
and it's all arbitrary, and it didn't need to happen because we were going along just fine, thank you.
Yes.
I would posit when you woke up yesterday was a morning we did not have during the Biden administration. Right. There was not a morning I woke up during the Biden administration going, what did he do to the economy now? Except make it better. He made it better. And every single month Joe Biden was in office, he put up record job numbers, and inflation kept going down, and the debt went down, and crime went down, and all of the things that are supposed to go down went down, and all of the things that are supposed to go up went up. And nobody talks about that because Donald Trump yells at the media. Yeah. And it's just,
they don't want to be called biased, right? That's the worst. You don't want to have
it
this.
It is not
freak
biased
call
to
you
report
biased
on what happened.
Right.
And
exactly.
That brings me to a story that some people may have missed that I saw this morning. And it angered me enough that I made a phone call to Washington, D.C. I don't know if you saw, but Mark Wayne Mullen, whose name is Mark Wayne.
Right.
Mark Wayne.
What is dumb
Her name is Mark Wayne. So just right there.
Mark Wayne.
Your name is Mark Wayne. Also hid like a coward on January 6th after being one of the most vocal pushers of the big lie. So super brave of you, Mark Wayne. But apparently Mark Wayne was talking to the media in the Capitol, and he was talking about the reporter that got shot back in like the 1800s or something. But maybe that's how that things should be solved now. If reporters just, if you write something negative about Trump, some member of Congress should be allowed to get away with shooting you. So you and I are members of the media. We're members of the independent media. We speak about Donald Trump every day. We write about him. We talk about him on this podcast. We talk about him when we go on other people's podcasts. We talk about him on social media. And we always tell the truth based on the information we have absorbed and parsed for ourselves. And it's our jobs to talk about that. It's our jobs to do that and report the truth. So what Mark Wayne Mullen is saying is that we deserve to die. We deserve violence to be purported upon us for this. And now today, of course, he's also saying he was just kidding. That's what they do. That's what Trump does too. Yeah, that's what they always. And he was absolutely. If you watch the video of him, watch that video of him. He is. First of all, there's no such thing as a Republican with a sense of humor because you have to be smart to be actually truly funny. That's nothing fun. There's nothing funny about joking about somebody's life and ending it. Nothing. And nothing. I don't care what you're saying.
And of course, they will cry and whine like little babies when one of the Democrats say, get in their face or whatever, right? They're like, they want violence. They're violence. Right.
And, like the Proud Boy getting mad at my Wonder Woman punching Trump. Show.
Yes, exactly.
They get mad at that.
But
they get mad at that, but not act anything real.
Exactly. And you notice, you see what they go after all the pillars of democracy. And this is just another example how they hate democracy. They really don't like the America that the founders fought a revolution, created and entrusted to us. So they go after the one necessary profession, the only profession enshrined in the Constitution as being absolutely vital for democracy. They hate that, just like they hate an educated populace, an economically vibrant working class majority. They hate e pluribus unum. They hate all the things that this country is about, a nation of immigrants. Yeah. That's why they will never, they are, doing everything that they can to destroy unity, decency, democracy. And and when you're talking about this Markwayne Mullin, I'm reminded of, it's not the first time. There's many times that they have attacked journalists. In fact, there's a famous, I don't know if you've seen it, it's famous. I've seen it a million times. It's one of these Trumpanzees at one of the Nuremberg rallies wearing a shirt that says rope, tree, something else, just add journalist, rope, something, tree.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's right up there with I'd rather be Russian than a Democrat.
Yes.
That's right up there.
Yes, and thank you, Russia. It's like,
thanks so much.
People are traitors. Yeah. You're traitors. Yeah.
They are. And, really now is the time to be calling Republican senators. And so because of that story about Markwayne, I called his Washington, D.C. office this morning. And by the way, any American citizen can call any elected official anywhere. You don't have to live in their district. Right. You don't have to live in their state. And also it's our job, right? So I have more reasons to reach out than maybe your average citizen, but also I don't do it it's the good trouble. That's the good trouble that we're supposed to be doing. So, but this is a direct threat on a very large segment of the population and an important one. And so I called, and a guy actually answered the phone, which is rare when you call a Republican, because usually it goes straight to voicemail. Like nobody answers the phone at Ted Cruz's office or Lindsey Graham's office ever. Never. Occasionally at Nancy. I've told the story of the guys who answer Nancy Mace's phone.
That's right.
Oh boy, that was a joy. But this guy was at least polite, and he called me ma'am, and I introduced myself as a writer and podcast host for the Political Voices Network, and I said I had a concern about this quote, and I said, I can't, I was just joking, is not what you come back with, because it wasn't funny. It's not a joke. And what he's saying is that it would be fine if somebody came and ended my life because they didn't like something I wrote.
Right.
And the First Amendment protects me from this. I'm not inciting violence. I'm not calling for anybody to do anything that's going to end anybody's existence. So why is Markwayne Mullin doing that? And the guy's like, well, ma'am, if you'd like to speak with somebody in our office about this, I'll be happy to pass along your comments. And I was like, sure you are. Sure they will. So, and I let him know. I'm like, my deadline's 11 a.m. my time. And we're well past that. Haven't heard anything. Yeah. Sure. So, I don't expect an answer, but that doesn't mean we don't call. And Hal will say this over and over again. Sometimes just asking the question is enough.
Right.
Because you put that question out into the world, right? It is, and we've touched on this before. I'm never going to tell anybody how to be an activist. If you're not somebody who's comfortable with marching in the streets like we did on Saturday, you can do your activism in a way that makes you feel safe and comfortable. But if you're one of the 93 people who's watching right now, you are already ahead of probably a lot of the people that because you're involved, you're motivated, you're energized, and you have good intentions for our country is my hope for the 89 people who are watching now. And so, this is why we do this, and this is how we push back, and this is how we'll get there. And I know, I don't know who in the chat maybe was out there on Saturday, but I was here, marched here in Portland. I wrote about it for the Political Voices Network Substack I put out yesterday. Tara Dublin, try to keep a consistent distance and angle from the mic. Okay, so how about I sit here like this?
A consistent distance and angle. Yeah, that's one thing. That's why I was telling you we got to get you a new stand so the mic is like right in the center and like pointed up in a way. So we'll figure that out.
And we can play with it.
Or then that might be in front of your keyboard then, but we have to figure something out. We
can move it over a little bit. We'll try it here. We'll play with it, Jim. Yeah. Thank you so much. The radio days are long behind me, but we'll get back. But Portland really turned out on Saturday. It was a record number of people in the streets. I think we had something a little over 10,000 people down at the waterfront and then across the bridge and then around and back. And it was beautiful. There was no violence. There were no detractors. I didn't see any black Black Bloc people or Proud Boys.
Yes.
The only Proud Boy I saw was the one who dragged me on Twitter for wearing that shirt. Go get over yourself. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. We had people of all ages. I want to say a lot of boomers out there because they are really super impacted.
Yeah.
By cuts to Medicaid and Social Security. They're the first ones who are going to feel it more than anybody else because they're living on it now. And so it was really encouraging. Our sign game on point. On point.
So many great signs.
I put a bunch of the... I know. One of my favorite ones, and I didn't get a picture of it because I walked by me too fast. One of my favorite signs that I saw was Oligargle D's nuts.
Oh, that's awesome.
That made me so happy. That made me so happy. They were very creative, and it gave me inspo because the next one is on the 19th, and then there's going to be a May Day march.
It's going to continue.
This is not this was not a one-off. So if you didn't make it out there on Saturday, but you wanted to, for whatever reason you couldn't, there will be more, and there are other ways for you to support these marches and support your fellow Democrats as we endeavor to continue to get the truth out there. And support each other in those efforts. And we're, to bring it back to what's happening with the tariffs, if you're seeing all of these rich people, Leonard Leo and the Koch brothers, and even Elon Musk pushing back against the tariffs, how long before Trump is going to be forced to blink?
Yeah. I mean, the damage is done, though. This is the problem because he has ruined our name around the world. So and one of the, I think it was a French politician, I can't remember his name now, but he said we can't plan for our policy here if we got to wait on some idiots in Wisconsin every 4 years to vote. And that's how he's something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And I feel the same way too. And he's 100% correct. So how can so they're saying we gotta move on without the United States, and I don't blame them. I feel like
why would
how can you why would you fall into that trap again? How can you take the word of the United States? You can't. There is no. We don't have our word is nothing anymore.
Well, and it goes back to who the leader is, right?
Yes.
Because I think, and Saturday was a really great demonstration of Donald Trump does not speak for the bulk of the American people. He just does not. He doesn't have a mandate.
No.
He did not win by a lot. I don't believe he won at all.
He won with the slimmest margin in 100 years. It's
still hinky that he won all 7 swing states on election night. Now, I don't really think so, but
I hear you.
Regardless of how we got here, we are here, and there are ways that Democrats can step up and hold this administration accountable, and they'll be held accountable, hopefully, in the courts. But it will come down to enough Republicans standing up for their country and their constituents. And the phone calls that people need to make to Republicans, specifically in the Senate, but I mean, call House Republicans too, Senate Republicans, enough of them need to make the distinction of who do they stand with. That's the question. Do you stand with the constituents who put you in that seat?
No, they don't.
Do you stand with the person who has deliberately damaged the lives of the people who put you in this seat?
Oh, yeah. No, they don't. They don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Who are you here for? Who do you really work for? Because the American people are paying your salary.
But,
therefore, you work for us. But if you're not going to represent them, what are you doing?
Because, but here's the thing: the Republican states, all the Republican-run states, are poorly run. They rank low on all positive measures and high on all negative measures: poverty, healthcare, environment, quality of life, opportunity, economics. They are poorly run, and so all they do for these people is divide the populace. They'll give them a bathroom bill. They'll allow them to be openly racist, kick down on, the targeted minority group du jour. That's it. And so if Republican policies were so great, they would be they wouldn't need my blue state dollars to keep them afloat. So who do they work for? They keep pushing the bullshit, the trickle down bullshit, the tax cuts pay for themselves bullshit, the deregulation causes amazing economic boom, and that is all bullshit. It's demonstrable bullshit. We have the numbers, but they'll never let go of it.
Right. What we used to call voodoo economics.
Yeah.
Something DOO economics. Anyone?
Yes.
Anyone?
Yes.
Voodoo economics. But because it's Trump, I've decided we need to call it doo-doo economics.
Doo-doo.
Because it is.
He's taking a big doo-doo on us, yeah.
He is taking a big doo-doo on us. He flung his loaded diaper all over our political norms nearly 10 years ago when he descended that gold escalator.
Yep.
And in his speech announcing his candidacy was talking about Mexicans being rapists and criminals. That's how it started.
And that's
where it should have ended. It's
exactly.
Where it should have started and ended.
Yes, and because that's where patriots, if you are a patriot, and this is what I wrote in my article, you would have immediately recognized that as what it is, fascism, the attempt to divide, and recoiled from it. So don't tell me now, now you see the light because your 401k is dwindling and you lost your job. We've been trying to tell you, but you are fine and happy and ready to make everybody else lose their jobs, right? You didn't give a shit about anybody else but yourself, right? So
hey. You know, it's like the old saying, first they came for the Jews, but, I'm not Jewish, so that didn't impact me. And then they came for these people, and then they came for that people. Now, finally, they're coming for you. Now they're finally coming for your white man money, okay? Yeah. So what happens to you now? What happens to you next? And it's frustrating because, as I've said repeatedly, both on Hal's show and our show and any other show I go on, I don't want anyone to lose their lives or their homes because of Donald Trump. Because he's not going to lose anything if you lose. And you were promised winning. They were promised nothing but winning and have not been given an ounce of winning except fake winning. Fake winning and cheating and lies and broken promises and a constant game of never-ending 3-card Monty. And you will never win. You will never win this shell game with him. Ever, ever, ever. And
they're
so
the marks. They're the dupes. Yeah, exactly.
They are the dumbest of the dumb. And like now somebody said it was fake, but I don't know if it is because of everything else that goes out there. But there was a Truth Social post allegedly from Trump himself claiming that everyone who turned out in the streets on Saturday, it was all fake, and we were all paid. We were paid protesters. George Soros paid all of us each $100 million.
Wow, $100 million each. Wow,
and not $100 million total for the whole thing. $100 million per protester. And they estimated roughly 5.2 million people were out in the streets on Saturday. So if you multiply 5.2 million times 100 million, that's like 100 trillion. And so what you're saying is that George Soros somehow just pumped $100 trillion into the American economy.
Well, make it a big one,
did not
right?
happen.
If you're gonna
of all the things that did not happen,
a big one.
This did not happen the most. I'm still waiting on my first Soros check from 10 years ago, but I mean, it would make up for it if he put $100 million in the bank account right now. And I love talking to you, Tara, but if I had $100 million in my bank account, I would not be sitting here and talking to you right now.
Where would you be?
I'd be buying a nice house somewhere. I'd be buying a beach house. I'd be buying my parents a nice house.
Ireland,
you know what
or something.
I think about this so much that if, let's just say for shits and giggles, finally the Sound of Settling explodes and I get the deal of my lifetime, and Dave Grohl is like, hey, you did inspire me to write times like these. Here's some publishing rights money.
Nice.
If I had that kind of money. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm owed, but I probably won't get, but that's fine, whatever. It's fine. I'll keep eating ramen. You go fly in a private jet. It's cool. What I could do with money like that is just, I mean, first what I would do for my family. I'd take care of my family first and foremost. Like my stepdad, who I'm not speaking with right now because of the Trump stuff, but still, my stepdad needs extensive dental surgery, like $50,000 worth of dental stuff.
That's
I would
terrible.
immediately pay that.
Welcome to
America.
America.
I would immediately pay that, right?
Yep.
I would immediately pay for the dentist for my stepfather, and then for myself. I need to get to the dentist. Don't have one. I would pay for my if either of my sons still have any college loans, pay those off.
Yeah.
I would pay any mortgage my mother has on her apartment in New York. Pay it all outright. I would buy a house for myself, and maybe buy a venue for my beloved Low Bar Corral so that we had our own venue. And then I would just start giving money away to the causes that I believe in.
Yeah.
Cleaning up the oceans, making sure women have their reproductive freedoms, making sure that our voting rights are protected. All the things that Democrats care about. That's what I would make sure I always had enough for myself, which I don't need a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really does.
No.
I don't. I would not. If you gave me Oprah money today, I would not buy a mansion that was 100 million square feet or whatever. I'm 5 feet tall and I live with 2 cats. At the most, I could see myself living in a house that's maybe 2,000 square feet. But I don't need beyond. Why would I need more than that? Like, it's just, even if
trying to fill
I've
that
lived
empty
in a house,
void. That's what they
right.
you
One
know,
time there wasn't. There was a time I had when I was married. I was married to a doctor, and we lived in a 3,500 square foot house, and we did not occupy but 150 square feet at a time, because you're there with your kids on the floor, or you go to bed. I mean, you don't. What I'm saying is, nobody needs this excessiveness of a billionaire.
That is it,
right? Unless you're going to do something good with it. Unless you're going to be,
we
like
don't
Mackenzie
need them.
Bezos, and
right?
Give it away, or Taylor Swift and give it away.
No, I don't agree. I don't think, because it's like, some of them are nice and but I mean, this is the world they're living in, so I get it. You know, they are, Taylor Swift's a billionaire and all that, but whatever. Right. She could get by on $1 billion, maybe half a billion, right?
I mean, we could all get by on that.
Yeah, but we shouldn't have to bet or whatever, wait or trust that or hope that a benevolent benefactor will trickle on us. That's not what this is supposed to be. That's the thing that the founders overthrew. That most people in Western civilization lived under for 2,000 years or more, and that's what they overthrew. Inspired by the Enlightenment, that said we don't need kings, we don't need an aristocracy. That people shouldn't just live as hosts from which to suck profit and discard. So that's what they're rebuilding here, though. It's terrifying.
No, thank you, please.
Right.
No, thank you, please. No, no, thank you. And you wanna have an oligarchy? Don't.
That's what they're doing.
Don't hang around here. Go make
they're
one.
Disgusting.
You know what?
Go away. Right. Exactly.
There are islands. Uninhabited islands all over this planet. Why don't you go live with the penguins?
Right. Go live on your island. They're making an island. There's this guy called Curtis Yarvin. I'm writing this other article.
Oh,
right. This is why. Yes, exactly.
White supremacist.
Yes. Shit. That's why I don't see the corporate media has really let us down, and that's why I bring it up all the time. They don't connect the dots. J.D. Vance is funded his whole life, pre and post politics, was funded by Peter Thiel, who is also funding this. Yeah, who's a Nazi? Okay, he's an open Nazi,
but also he's gay. He's open.
Yeah, he's gay, but he. I don't know. Yes.
But remember how J.D. Vance in his lying memoir Hillbilly Effigy was like, I was really curious.
That's
about
right.
Sexuality.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about my sexuality. And Peter Thiel is like, your sexuality is being my bitch.
That's right.
That's what your sexuality is.
I don't doubt
Here's
it.
your money.
Here's
your Senate seat. Here's your vice presidency.
Right.
You're
2 years in the Senate.
Sexuality guy liner.
2 years in the Senate, and he's a vice president now. I mean, he's their puppet, but Peter Thiel also funds this disgusting waste of human DNA called Curtis Yarvin, who is a Nazi and a fascist who hates democracy, who they're trying to put this, this technocratic autocracy together. That's what they're doing. That's what they're freaking doing. And Trump is the useless idiot in this game because they got the perfect instrument because he doesn't care. He's a sociopath. And when he says be strong, what he's saying is, I don't want to hear it. Shut up. You know, you're ruining my golf game here. You know,
that's right.
That's
but
it.
he won his tournament, so good for him.
What a disgrace. Right.
John Rankin in the chat, a nation free of kings and powerful churches. That Thomas Paine from 1775.
Yeah,
and if you're a Hamilton person, that should give you an immediate Hamilton earworm, because that's common sense. I've been reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine. Some men say I'm intense or I'm insane. You want a revolution? I want a revelation. So listen to my declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And when I meet Thomas Jefferson, I'm gonna compel him to put to include women in the sequel. Work. Okay.
That's good. Nice.
That's my Hamilton, my interrupted, messed up Hamilton rap for the day. Anyway. Everybody in the Republican Party and everybody in the MAGA cult should be forced to watch Hamilton, Clockwork Orange style, strapped to a chair with your eyes popped open, so you can understand.
You think they would get it, though?
What our country went through.
Yeah, I mean...
No, because it's the groupthink mentality, and you know what? It's going to take something really huge, a reckoning of like monumental proportions for them to walk away from Trump.
It will. You're right, 100%.
But, I mean, we're seeing some detractors, but then there's the ones who are going to stay with him till the death, which is the stupidest thing.
Because they've already given up so much. That's what it's. I mean, the whole cult. They've lost friends. They've lost family. You know, and so they get their identity from this cult. So it's going to be hard to.
It is, and the same people, and they are making excuses for him. They're like making up excuses, on their feet. And this is not what he promised them on day one. No. The promise was prices are going down. Ukraine war is going to end. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. We're going to get rid of everybody that's not white. And everyone's like, yay! And he's done none of those things. The prices have gone up. That's the opposite of what he promised, and nobody wants to hold him accountable. He's only been at this for 58
can I show you
He's
something?
Been at this for 75 days, and it's just like, don't tell me you're going to do something on day one.
Right, but I got to show you this thing. This it's complete propaganda. Let me show you this.
Show me the thing.
This thing that Donald Trump tweeted on his, or whatever they do,
lie
on Truth Social.
Lie.
Not even 100 days
lies.
Lower oil prices, more jobs, lower mortgage rate. This was he just put this out. This is not an oldie. This is a newie.
That's a lie.
No inflation.
Nothing but lies.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing.
Do they really believe this? Incredible. This week, House Republicans will build on this momentum. We will advance the budget. It's like...
No, you won't. No, you won't do anything because you don't do anything, and you never have done anything except make promises that you don't keep, and you keep pushing the goalposts even further and further, and one of these days you're going over the cliff.
It's amazing.
This is not sustainable. It just isn't, and we're that we're finally seeing significant pushback from Democrats, and that enough Republicans are going to start joining them. I think that's the next phase of this finding out, because again, going back to Koch and Leo, the two of them own the Republican Party. So if the word from their funders, not the founders, they don't care about the founders.
No.
They care about the
funders.
Hate the founders. Hey, make that a thing.
That's a good,
because it's true.
That's a good article.
That's actually true, though, right? Because they don't care about what the founders fought for. What they care is that their funders keep funding them.
That's it.
So there's Leonard Leo, and there's the Koch brothers going, actually, we're not going to fund you anymore. So it goes, then I come back to that question. Well, no, I mean, that's the Guardian. And so the Guardian is one of those very reputable sources that, I mean, if you're looking for a mainstream media source that you want to trust, you're going to have to go overseas for it at the moment. So I like the Independent because they just tell it like it is. And what they're saying, and, they have nothing to gain by lying. They're not the Daily Mail. They're not owned by Murdoch. So, but this article, if you lose your two biggest donors, it's not maybe Harlan Crow is also getting mad. I don't know. You're losing them, and they're mad about your tariffs, and they're the ones who put you where you are. he is going to have no choice but to kowtow to them in some way.
I guess.
There's something he's going to have to roll back. So he'll probably, if he does blink and he does take a step back from these tariffs, it's going to be around something that matters to them the most, whatever it is.
True.
Regarding whatever they have their money sunk into, wherever their biggest investments are. And I don't have that information at my fingertips. But I would say look there, follow the money and see where it goes, which is another thing from Hamilton. But again, they have done this. They have given all of this money to protect their own interests. These tariffs are in defiance of their best interests. This doesn't put any more money in their pockets.
And it's just that's why they're listen to what we're saying though. It's so gross. It's all about money. It doesn't put more money in these rapacious ghouls' gullet. Of course, that is never ever gonna get filled. They just keep shoving more money in there. What the fuck more do you want, you goddamn monsters? You monster.
I mean, I don't know.
How can you live with yourselves like that? Really? Right?
Because they have more digits in their bank accounts than
disgusting.
we do.
They're disgusting.
That's how though. That's how they do it.
They should be marched to the border and sent where the fuck, like in the olden days. That's what would happen. We take them, to the border, and we say good luck in the woods.
Bye.
It's really, when I think about, for example, this government was influenced by the Iroquois Confederacy, the Great Law of Peace, it's something that the founders studied, and this is a quote from one of the Mohawk Bear Clan chiefs that he explained that how they would choose their leaders was that the mothers, here's the quote, the mothers watch the children carefully as they're growing up. The ones who are greedy and push around the weaker children will never be chosen as chief. The ones who are kind, unselfish, and always helping others are considered for future leadership. Honesty is the first requirement for leadership. I mean, it's like breaks your heart when you think, when you read that. Kind, unselfish, helping others.
Joe Biden. That's Joe Biden.
Incredible.
Right there. That's Joe Biden. And that's who Joe Biden was throughout his entire historic career, his longest career of public service of any American.
Right.
And loves his country unabashedly. Unabashedly loves his country.
Yeah.
And has made sacrifices for his country and does not get the credit he's due. And I think he'll probably have a legacy like Jimmy Carter's, where people will look back and go, God, we had it good.
Yeah.
We had it good.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes back to, if you hear Republicans saying something truthful about these tariffs, if you hear them speaking truthfully about how they're down, hold them accountable when they say it. Like even Ted Cruz. Oh my God. Ted Cruz is mad about the tariffs. He is saying that they are bad. When you are agreeing with both Ted Cruz and Elon Musk.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I mean, wow, that's Black Mirror plus Idiocracy plus the Twilight Zone plus I don't even know what. But that's also important. Ted Cruz is one of the biggest Trump sycophants around.
Right. Yeah, but they don't care. Yeah, sorry.
No, I mean, like, his daughter can still get an abortion if she gets pregnant, right? They'll still be fine regardless of what happens. It is not often that Ted Cruz will criticize Donald Trump. He hasn't done it since the 2016 campaign. He really doesn't criticize Trump often, and not since he called his wife a dog.
I know. What a disgrace.
Handed over his spot. I know. But he's out there publicly, saying that the tariffs are bad. So that's when you have to be like, okay. Right. So then you call Republicans and you go, Ted Cruz is saying this. Like, do you stand with that? Do you stand with Ted Cruz, who is standing for the American people?
Yeah, but how long is he going to say it? Yeah, I mean, as soon as Trump, sends something.
Now that, he's going to keep going. Now that Leonard Leo and the Koch brothers are saying it.
Maybe.
But that money is bigger than...
True.
Right, and so I would say there's gonna be got to be something that Trump's gonna give up here. Like he can say he's not going to, He can say he's not going to, but remember, how many times do we know about Donald Trump keeping his word?
Never. Zero.
He'll tell you what he's going to do and then doesn't do it, or he does something that's even worse than what he said he was going to do. But keeping his word is not a thing.
No.
And he's not a take one for the team guy. He's the I'm going to drag every last one of you down with me guy.
Right. Yes, totally.
And so, and that's something that enough of the Republican Party knew about him before. They knew in 2016. There is that video circulating, if you look for it, called They Knew. And they knew who Trump was in 2016. All of his opponents, all of his Republican opponents from 2016 saying truthful things about him, and now everyone is sucking up to him. But it's a question of what did they know, and when did they know it, and when were they blackmailed?
Right.
And
what
we
do
know
they
that
have?
Lindsey
You're
Graham,
right. Yeah.
Lindsey
Russia
Graham obviously blackmailed on the golf course.
God.
To this day,
I know.
still Donald Trump's favorite butt plug is Lindsey
Incredible.
Graham. So it's and Johnson, Mike Johnson, Speaker Jesus Freak, Jim Jordan, and James Comer. They're still up there, Rubio. But for Ted Cruz to take that step, even though I've always called him Donald Trump's permanent toilet and bidet, which he's been.
Could you imagine you're married to him and this fucker calls you ugly in the front of the world and you let that asshole back in your bed? How do you do that? How?
Money.
That's money. That's all that matters.
Enough. I mean, this is a bigger conversation than we can have in the last 5 minutes of the show, but there are plenty of women in this society who can look past anything if the bank account is big enough.
That's it. Money.
I mean, I'm not one of them,
right.
but they exist. And again, like there's no amount of money you could pay me to commit treason against the United States. There's no amount of money you could pay me to let Donald Trump touch me anywhere. There's no amount of money you could pay me to on with Elon Musk back in the day when I had a functioning, reproductive system. None of it. And so, and the ugliness and the hate and the evil that they gleefully embrace, that isn't just exclusive to MAGA. And with like the last couple of minutes, I don't often give attention to transphobes, but when the transphobe is one of the most successful authors
we should have
of all
talked about
time,
this earlier. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay because there's a lot going on, and again, it's hard to keep up. And again, we do the show again on Thursday at the same time. Tara has a Substack. I have a Substack. Political Voices have a Substack. We would love for you to follow us there and subscribe. And if you have the money, a couple of bucks every month would really actually adds up, and it all matters. So if you're in a space where you're able to, even at the lowest subscriber level, it at least gives you the chance to comment on all of the things that we send out. And so I saw this morning, and it's not the first time I've tried to tango with JK because she makes me angry, because her story used to really be inspiring to me as someone who's a writer and self-published and who's struggling to get a proper book deal. And that she wrote Harry Potter longhand in a cafe. I don't know how much I believe about that. But what I do believe is that she submitted it to agents and publishers and was rejected like 55 times. And then someone finally saw the value. And I always admired her for like sticking to that and her struggle. And then I found out she's a giant, disgusting transphobe. And that's a huge disappointment, because I spent so much time reading the books to my sons and watching the movies with them. And it was a huge part of our lives. And I know that's true for a lot of people. But as a writer too, it disgusts me that she would allow that to become her legacy.
We can go over a little if you want, so don't feel
okay, cool. Because I know we're at 57 minutes. So, but she's now like, it's bad enough, like she's transphobic as hell, and she keeps tweeting about men and women's sports, which I hate that. I hate that line, because trans women are women. Trans women have every right to exist in society, and they also are the smallest segment of society. And for you to use them as a prop is disgusting. Your own issues with another person is your problem, and nobody's body is your business. Not your business. And trans women don't care about your body, J.K. Rowling, and they shouldn't. It's not your body's not their business either. Now she's going after asexuals. I guess 2 days ago was the Asexual Visibility Day, which I did not know was a thing. I know asexuality is a thing, but I didn't realize that there was a segment of the population who had a problem with that too. What do you care if
I know
you have a problem with people are having sex? You have a problem if people aren't having sex. You have a problem if people are having gay sex. You have a problem if they're having trans sex. You just have a problem with sex, and that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah, the pee-pee patrol.
She was like going after people who are like, why would you tell the world that you don't care if you don't have a shag? Right. What do you care if that? Why do you care?
Don't you have something else to do with, like, go fucking read a book, read The Sound of Settling, take a walk, do something productive. Shut up, right?
Meeting other people. You created a magical world where anybody could exist and have powers, and I there are people who thought that Harry Potter was an allegory for closeted people or whatever. It really is a story about finding your people, finding where you belong and thriving in that community. And maybe there's an opposition within there, but it really is about, figuring out who you are, because Harry Potter didn't know who he was until Hagrid came to visit him. So whatever. It's so disappointing.
Yeah.
That is your legacy now. And
it's
anytime
so
someone wants to talk about that, right? And you can talk about the Harry Potter miniseries, the new series that they're doing for HBO. I'm not going to watch that shit. I don't care who you put in. And anybody who acts in it is basically saying, I am fine with J.K. Rowling being a transphobe. I'm fine with her because I'm going to get paid all this money to be in the Harry Potter show. Right. And again, it goes back to how much money do you need? Can't you find another job? Can't you find another way to make money? Because if you're making money, and you're causing a community pain as it's one of the results of your work is hurting a whole maligned community.
Yes.
Then you shouldn't do that work. That's not work. That's blood money.
Right.
That's not honest work. That's ugly. And I mean, nobody should benefit from another person's misery.
Yeah.
That's that's bad juju, right? That's bad karma.
True. But the other irony is that she, it's the Republicans that traditionally attack J.K. Rowling for creating books where there's magic and whatnot, that's against Jesus and all this. So, anyway.
But as soon as they find out that they all hate the same people, then it's fine.
They all hate the same people. Exactly.
Anyway, we went a little over, but that's what happens when you're passionate about stuff. Get caught up in the moment. And that's, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And first of all, thank you everybody who hung out for the whole thing. I'm so happy we have this set up now. We're going to work on getting some guests to come on and chat with us.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So make sure you sign up for our Substacks. And we're going to continue this conversation on Thursday, same Tara time, same Tara channel. Sign up for Tara Substack, my Substack, Political Voices Network Substack. And we will see you once again on Thursday. And until then, don't forget to resist.
Yes. And thank you, Jim, for being a moderator. And I will see you all. We'll see you on Thursday. See you soon.
Bye.